Welcome to Parenting Decoded. I'm Mary Eschen, and we're going to talk about how to get kids to apologize. When our kids misbehave, they oftentimes make us cringe, don't they? They have all sorts of misbehaviors that might make us cringe. In this little picture here, we have a boy biting his dad. Ow, that would really hurt. How about somebody who gets kicked on the playground or at school or in a sporting event or whatever? That hurts too. Sometimes our kids might be fighting with other kids at the playground. That other kid might even be their sibling. How about little kids or bigger kids who take things that they're not supposed to? In this case, there's cookies being taken from the cookie jar. Well, oftentimes we react negatively. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. How can we handle our reaction and be able to get to our kids' heart so that we can help them learn how to give an apology from the heart? Well, oftentimes when a kid has misbehaved like that, they're really upset. They're not ready to apologize. They might be crying. They might be embarrassed that they got caught at something. And oftentimes that leads us to react in a negative way where we are really upset. And we might be yelling. We might want to take our kid across the playground and make them apologize to that other kid. Sally, you have to tell Kara that you apologize for that, taking that toy. Or, we blow up at them like, all right, say I'm sorry. And our kid says, sorry. Not exactly sincere, huh? So we force apologies from our kids. And what happens is they wind up looking like this. The sincerity of the apology just isn't there. It pretty much looks pretty insincere, doesn't it? You have to say sorry. Like, yeah, right. Like they're really sorry. If they do say sorry, if you force them to say sorry or they manage to say sorry, the effect of that is pretty short term. It hasn't changed their heart, huh? It's missed the mark. Saying you're sorry, using words is totally different than saying you're sorry from your heart. And what I want to talk about today is some strategies of what we can do to change that so that when we have our kids apologize, that they apologize from their heart. So how do we do that? I'm going to give you some strategies for apologizing that will get you a sincere apology, that will have long-term impacts on your kid's heart, and that it'll be heartfelt. The number one part of the strategy that I want to talk about is that we have to wait. We have to wait for emotions to cool down, whether it be our kids' emotion or ours. We need to go brain dead and not react to the situation and force an apology. Because if we're saying, like, you got to do it right now, or the kid's like, no, I don't want to, or whatever, everybody's amygdalas are way wacko off. And we need to make sure that everybody's calm, that people are using their thinking brain, their prefrontal cortex is engaged and active. And in order to do that, we need to go brain dead and not take it personally. We need to just wait. We're going to use empathy like, wow, I can tell you're really upset right now. Let's talk about this later. And that love and empathy that you're delivering for like, yeah, I can tell that you're really upset about being caught that you stole the book from the library. Let's talk about it later when we're calm. I want you to use that love and empathy to set up for the next strategy, which is to brainstorm with your child. And in order to set it up, I want to give you these pointers. I want you to be having a private conversation with your child. No siblings around, no comments from the peanut gallery like, yeah, that was so stupid. You know how siblings can be sometimes. They don't offer great suggestions. So do it in private if you at all possibly can. I want you to ask if they're ready to talk about an apology. Just asking a simple question. Are you ready to talk about taking that book from the library? Are you ready to talk about how come you hit your sister? Once you've established that their brain is open and that you have their attention, I want you to exchange ideas. And those ideas are going to look like, instead of making them march across the playground to apologize, it might be that they write a letter. It might be that they draw a picture. Or maybe that they offer to play extra with a sibling that they just hurt or hurt their feelings of. It's possible that they could decide that for them, picking flowers for somebody might really work for an apology for them. It could be that they make a meal for somebody, like if they were hurt mommy's feelings by telling mommy that they were being a not good mommy, I'll just say, for rolling their eyes, for using profane language or something like that. They might say, like, I'll apologize by making you a meal, mom. It'd be really sweet. You could have them during this brainstorming session do something that's even more creative than any of the things I just talked about. They could create a TikTok apology video. Sure, why not? Or they could do a stop action animation video saying how they're apologizing. I love this picture of these little finger painting, these little smileys on these fingers. They can just do something really creative that reflects their heart. But be willing to be creative. Do something unique, but do something where your child feels that they get to choose a form of apology that works for them and comes from their heart. So, because this strategy, the brainstorming part, the point is that we want it to be sincere. We want it to have long term impact on our child's heart. We want them to be able to know that they can create ways that are apologies in the future as they move forward in life. We want them to know that they're capable of apologizing, and it doesn't have to be where some adult is coming along saying, you have to apologize. We want to give them skills to be able to brainstorm with themselves in the long term, and we want it to be heartfelt. However, I have a strategy number 3, because sometimes being calm, which is strategy number 1, and brainstorming, it doesn't work. Sometimes our kid will never come around and they'll never be ready to talk about the apology. And if that's your child, I want to give you hope in that there is something that you can do with those children that are not ready to apologize, because I really firmly believe that an insincere apology is not worth forcing out of your children's lips. Don't do that. What I want you to do, because it is an energy drain when your child refuses to apologize. And even if you've been willing to brainstorm and everything, and if they're not willing still, I want you to just say, wow, that really drains my energy that you're not willing to apologize. So why don't you vacuum the living room? Why don't you wash the windows? Why don't you sweep the leaves on the back deck? I want you to let them know that it's okay for them to not apologize, but there's going to be consequences. And those consequences are that mom and dad are drained and we need to be replaced. Like, I have energy to drive kids to soccer lessons. I have energy to cook dinner. But if I don't have energy, I'm not going to be cooking dinner. I'm not going to be driving someone to a lesson. And eventually, those consequences should be able to work into their hearts, letting them know that their poor decision to not think about how to apologize has an impact. I'm not letting them off the hook at all. I'm not going to force them to go tell Billy that they're sorry for hitting them. But I'm going to let them know that I'm not pleased, but I do love them. And in this strategy, this third strategy, where I'm trying to get to their heart, I'm going to be using love and empathy. Like, I can tell that it's really hard for you to apologize to Billy because he did something to you first. I love you so much. I know that you're a loving person, and I think that you'll be able to do that eventually. All those loving and empathetic words, it's hard saying things like, it's hard sometimes to forgive. It's hard to calm down. I want you to use all those loving words and let your child know that you have confidence in them, that they'll get there eventually. So, to wrap it up, we've got 3 steps. Number 1 step is wait till all the emotions passed. Number 2 is we want to brainstorm with our kids. And number 3, if there's no apologizing, that our kids learn that there's consequences for there's no apologies being offered. I hope that was really useful to you. I hope you get some good apologies. But if you need more help, feel free to go to my podcast that has lots more information. My podcast number 10, my episode 10 is all about punishments versus consequences. How do you make them not be punishments, but to have consequences that are loving and empathetic? If you have trouble calming down, you might want to listen to my anger management. There's also a YouTube video for that. And I have other various topics as well that you can listen to on my podcast. But I do have more YouTube videos. I don't have that many compared to my podcast. But if YouTube is where you like to be, there's other YouTube videos that you can watch that have to do with getting your kids to listen um, and even dealing with screen time battles and things like that. Lastly, if you need more help, feel free to email me, mary@parentingdecoded.com. I would love to converse with you and help you, give you pointers, point you in the right direction for resources. I have a website, parentingdecoded.com, and you can also join my Facebook group if you're a Facebooker. It's called Parenting Decoded 2021. It's a public group. You can put questions. I do post things there periodically, ask questions of my fans. I also have an Instagram page where I announce when I put out new content. And I have a monthly newsletter. I talk about different issues that are coming up for parents. And I will also announce when I have lectures and classes. Um, Lastly, I'm also a parenting coach. You could hire me by the hour in order to work one on one with your family and the issues in your family. In any event, I hope that you're going to have a great rest of your day. And I have enjoyed giving this talk. Thanks a lot.